Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order. I would like to read the First Nations land acknowledgement. As we gather today, I'd like to acknowledge on behalf of Council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. So I do have a recommendation to adopt the agenda. I would like to amend the agenda that we're removing item, uh, or we're not removing it. We are going to discuss item 10.1, but we will not be voting on that item today. Item 13.2 has been removed at the recommendation of the treasurer. And so with those changes, it's recommended that the regular council meeting agenda for October 16th, 2024 be approved as presented. Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Micah, seconded by Councillor Schulis. All in favor? That's carried. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest?
None here.
Okay, with that, we'll move into the mayor's address. I do have a short one. Um, So good morning, and I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving weekend. My remarks will be short this morning. However, I do want to take time to talk about two significant events that occurred in our township this past week. The first was the St. Francis Memorial Hospital's Growing Together Emergency Development Campaign kickoff on Thursday. Such an important project that most members of council were able to attend, and one that the community is 100% behind. The fundraising committee is tasked with raising 10% of the total costs of this redevelopment, while the province picks up the other 90%. Our 10% comes to a total of 2.7 million. And at the kickoff, it was noted that through the fundraising committee's quiet visits to various individuals, 85% of that goal had been reached. This is really outstanding and amazing and shows the generosity of our township. Now it is up to the community to come up with the final 15%, which I figure is about 400,000. It's not a daunting task and one that I am sure everyone will get behind and support. I do feel it is important the council shows leadership on this project. Therefore, later under new business, I will be bringing forward a resolution to show council's support and appreciation. Moving on, we had another exciting event on Saturday when we officially opened the Mervyn Olszewski Playground at Lakeshore Park. What a beautiful structure it is, and boy, is it being well used. There are people on it all the time, even in the cold weather. Again, council was there for the ribbon cutting, and we send our sincere thanks to the Mervyn Olszewski family, to St. Francis Herb Farm, and Neil and Connie O'Reilly in memory of Gerald O'Malley, as well as the other 40 donors who together raised just over 65,000 to fund the structure. I cannot thank you enough, and I am amazed once again by the community's support and generosity. Many thanks to Hannah Gatoski, who led the project from start to finish, Mary Blank, Chair of Recreation, and all the staff who played various roles. All right, so we have no delegations and presentations. Move on to item 8.1 and this confirmation of the minutes. And our first item 8.1 is the public meeting minutes of October 2nd. The recommendation is that the public meeting minutes of October 2nd, 2024 be approved as presented. Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Schulis, second by Councillor Micah. It's going to be the same two each time, I think.
I'll make you
Um,
move.
and any discussion?
None.
Uh, all in favor? That's carried. All right, our second set of minutes is the council and committee meeting minutes of October 2nd, 2024. Recommendation is that the council and committee meeting minutes from October 2nd, 2024 be approved as presented. Again, I need a mover. Councillor Micah and a seconder, Councillor Schulis. Any discussion on these minutes? Councillor Micah.
On page 13, under item number 8, under operations, roads, waste management, municipal reports regarding automated speed enforcement. I think what is not noted here is that it was a consensus of council that we weren't interested in having them in this municipality. I think we all agreed on that. We said it's a good tool, but not at this time. And I think it's important that the minutes reflect that message goes to the county that we're not interested.
So noted.
Thank you.
Okay, so that will be added to those minutes. So with that addition, all in favor? And that's carried. Okay, now we move to the special council meeting minutes of October 10th. Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Schulis, second by Councillor Micah. Recommendation is that the special council meeting minutes of October 10th be approved as presented. Any discussion? All in favor? And that's carried. Is there any? I don't see any business arising from these minutes. So we will move into item 10, which is municipal reports. Item 10.1, which I previously noted that we will not be voting on. I'll let the planner speak to this report, though. Luke.
Just let me cue that up. So this is the Chippewa subdivision report. Is that what we were referring to? Yeah. So my apologies to council. So when I compile reports, we use the software called iCompass, and we write the report and we do a number of attachments to these reports. I had two subdivision draft approvals coming forward today, and then at a late minute, it was identified that for the Chippewa subdivision, inadvertently, the other subdivision, the Lakewoods conditions, were attached to this report. And what that means is that the Chippewa subdivisions were not included in the agenda, so it would not be a time to approve those conditions given they were not publicized.
Okay. And this is something we can bring back to our next council and committee meeting. All right, so we will leave that one as is for now. We'll move on to item 10.2, report from Manager of Planning and Development, Lakewood Subdivision Phase 3.
Thank you. And here is the third phase of the Lakewood subdivision. We discussed briefly this at the October committee meeting. It's the third phase of the subdivision, a very limited number of lots. It's an additional 7 lots on the waterfront adjacent to the municipal boat launch. And at the committee meeting, I had a few more attachments, including the subdivision plan, etc. At this time, I just have the conditions that I'm suggesting to move forward with, which becomes incorporated in a report to the county, who has the subdivision approval authority. But these would then consist of the township conditions should council be satisfied.
So there is a recommendation, and it is the council approve the attached township conditions for draft approval of Lakewood's Phase 3 plan of subdivision. Application file number 47-T-15003. Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Schulis, second by Councillor Micah. Any discussion? We did discuss this. Council Micah.
So again, for the record, this agreement that is attached, if we read through the agreement on the final page of the agreement, there are in total 30 numbered recommendations. Item number 27 is shown as blank on this agreement. We need to correct that, because if we're going to pass this today as in bylaw, we cannot pass this with a blank term and condition. So I'm not sure what the remedy is here to have this appropriately fixed and passed, or what was there something to be in item 27 and it's a numbering formatting issue, or if so, then we need to have it correctly formatted. before it's passed through bylaw.
Luke,
We can't leave it like this.
perhaps you can answer, or you may not know at this point whether there is one missing or whether it's the sequencing of the numbers that.
I'm just opening up the original draft. See what happens as these go through. Yeah. And number, I'm suggesting to council that's just it's a formatting error. Microsoft Word, it has a number of you move things around to format the best way, and that it's not that the condition was omitted. It's just that there's an errant number 27 there.
I believe Councillor Micah is right. So my feeling is we'll almost have to do the same thing with this one as we just did with with item 10.1.
Yeah.
So again, we will move this to our next meeting, which is the beginning of November. All right. As I said, it was going to be one of those days, and it just continues. All right, we'll move on. Thank you, Luke. We'll move into 10.3, report from the CAO clerk, the HR proposal. There is a recommendation. I'll read the recommendation first, and then I'll let Sue speak to it. The recommendation is that Council of the Corporation of the Township of Madawaska Valley does hereby receive and approve the proposal from Cornerstones Management Solutions Limited as received on October 10th, 2024 in the amount of $26,880, and that Council authorizes to proceed with the next steps of the proposal. And I'll get a mover and seconder. Councillor Schulas, Councillor Micah. Sue, would you like to speak on it?
Yes, thank you through the chair. Just the background, staff have consulted with different HR consulting firms to determine what type of HR review would best meet our immediate needs. There was a review done with council as to what the report would come back with as it pertains to objectives, matrix, and expectations of the HR audit and feedback. Council advise what they would like to see in such a report, which includes feedback interviews with all staff, a report highlighting recommended changes and priorities to all HR policies, programs, and processes, including organizational structure, titles, levels, roles, and the price that is identified was in the attached sheet. And as it was outlined in the cornerstone proposal, they will be working towards that amount. The project would begin the week of October 28th, assuming employee availability, and will take 6 to 8 weeks to complete. And they would be coming before council with those recommendations for review. It says we.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from discussion by council members?
Not here.
Okay, we had a good discussion on this. So I did get a mover and seconder. All in favor then. And that's carried.
You'll find the bylaw attached later.
We do not have any standing committees today. We do have the consent agenda for support. There is none. Consent agenda for information items. We have how many do we have? We have 7. And any questions? I know we do have Cindy Hotot here to answer any questions regarding the fragmites that are spreading throughout. And I guess my question is, Cindy, could you tell us why they seem to be spreading so rapidly? Like this was something we didn't see a few years ago, and then once in a while we'd see, like the patch at the edge of the highway, and now it seems to be becoming more and more common and into the lake as has been observed. But with something that like what Wendy has pointed out to us in the lake, how do you control that? And I should note that Sue, you have sent a letter to the ministry and also to the county, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. So following the council meeting, I did include Wendy Wallach on the correspondence. It was forwarded to Mr. Golduca, our weed inspector of the county of Renfrew. And Ms. Wallach actually sent more information directly to the weed inspector that was a little bit like elaborating more on the issue itself, and then referred it to the M&R as well. And I have been copying Ms. Wallach on that.
Okay.
Now, I did want to note that there is another letter coming forward about the biocontrols. Yeah. Yes. So that was will be forwarded to the county as well.
Any thoughts on how it could be removed from the lake? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Growing, yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now this, I know once before in sort of a previous life or work experience, we were dealing with a type of invasive species that was spreading in sort of some of the small ponds. It was purple something or other. And when you cut it, it just created twice as many plants. So the Phragmites doesn't do that. Hmm. No. Yeah. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, it's just a weed. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions from rest of council? Sue?
Not a question, just more comments. I don't foresee that, like Public Works would be hands-on removing that, but certainly council can be the conduit to educating. We do have a biannual newsletter that goes out with the tax, so it gets all of the taxpayers at the same time. So if the MNR gives us, some links to some really good public education, we could forward that for sure. We certainly would take our lead from the County of Renfrew, the weed inspector, and the MNRF. It was interesting after that presentation, I went online, and all I was like, mostly what I was finding was literature from 2011. And it was saying invasive Phragmites best management practices in 2011. And truly, I haven't seen that much since then. So I'm hoping that, that letter to MNRF will kind of, maybe we can share what those new practices are, best practices, and what MNRF's strategy is to address it, because it would be under the purview of MNRF.
Okay.
So through the chair, when we get a response from MNR as well, sorry, I keep referring to MNRF, it has now changed back to MNR.
MNR, yeah.
To make that correction. But when we get that, some correspondence back, share it.
Okay. Thank you very much for your assistance and help with this matter. We really appreciate it. So,
Yes, thank you.
all right. Anything else on any of those items on the information consent agendas? Councillor Schulis?
Yeah, 12.7, I mean, that's kind of a letter we get almost every year, right?
That's
So
correct.
I don't know, do we have to act on this, or do we have to do?
Sue?
Right.
If I may, through the chair, there is a bylaw attached.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Approving the parade.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, more of the detour so that we can have the road closure.
Good stuff.
Yeah. All right. So with no more discussion on those, we'll move into bylaws. Okay, so item 13.1 is a recommendation that bylaw 2024-79 being a bylaw to authorize corporation of the Township of Madawaska Valley to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Peterson's Pathfinders Snowmobile Club be read a first, second, and third time, finally passed the 16th day of October. Could I get a mover? Councillor Micah, seconded by Councillor Schulis. Any discussion on this? Councillor Micah?
Yeah, has somebody internally here, Sue, have you or someone else reviewed the terms of this agreement?
Yes, so Hannah's went over it and we compared it to what the agreement that we have the Opeongo snow country.
Yeah.
Yeah, to make sure that they were
Is it?
So,
No.
Opeongo snowbirds.
No,
Drifters.
District Six,
Drifters.
Opeongo,
Yeah.
snowbirds.
Yes, snowbirds.
Yes. Country is Pembroke.
Yes, and the one change that was made was, of course, the liability
Yeah.
had to be increased.
Okay. That was one of the questions. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Hannah
Good enough.
internally did all of the work with Peterson Pathfinders and using existing memorandums so that it reflected what we've done in the past.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, so all in favor? That one is carried. Item 13.2 has been removed. Item 13, bylaw 13.3 is recommendation that bylaw 2024-81 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a development agreement with the owners of parts of lot 19 and 20 concession 6 in the geographical township of Jones in the township of Madawaska Valley and further described as parts 1 to 14 inclusive on 49R-20779 be read a first, second, and third time and finally pass the 16th day of October 2024. Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Schulis, second by Councillor Micah. Any discussion on this one?
None.
Seeing none, all in favor? And that's carried. 13.4, recommendation that bylaw 2024-82 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2006-26 as amended of the Township of Madawaska Valley be read a first, second, and third time, finally passed the 16th day of October 2024. Could I get a mover? Councillor Micah, seconded by Councillor Schulis. Any discussion on this one?
None.
So with that, all in favor then, and that's carried. 13.5, recommendation is that bylaw 2024-83 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2006-26 as amended of the Township of Madawaska Valley be read a first, second, and third time and finally pass the 16th day of October 2024. Again, I need a mover. Councillor Schulis, seconded by Councillor Micah. Any discussion on this one?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor, and that's carried. Oops, now I've lost my place. Okay. Item 13.6 is a recommendation that bylaw 2024-84 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement between JP2G and the Corporation of the Township of Madawaska Valley for planning services be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed the 16th day of October 2024. Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Micah, seconded by Councillor Schulis. Any discussion on this one? Sue.
Just for clarification, so just the agreement is for as needed, when needed services in the interim of replacing.
Thank you. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, 13.7. The recommendation is, and this is one you were referring to, David. Recommendation that bylaw 2024-85 being a bylaw to close to vehicular traffic on a temporary basis, highways, streets, or portions thereof under the jurisdiction of council for such social recreation, community, or athletic purposes, or a combination of such purposes to be read a first, second, and third time, finally passed the 16th day of October 2024. And this is for the Santa Claus Parade temporary road closure. Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Micah, second by Councillor Schulis. Any discussion? All in favor? And that's carried. Under new business, I do have a motion, and the recommendation is simply whereas the St. Francis Valley Healthcare Foundation has launched a fundraising campaign to help fund the St. Francis Memorial Hospital's emergency redevelopment, whereas the province of Ontario has funded 90% of the redevelopment, leaving a $2.7 million funding gap, and whereas the St. Francis Valley Healthcare Foundation has quietly raised 85% of this goal. Therefore, be resolved that the Council of the Corporation of Madawaska Valley encourages everyone to support the public fundraising campaign by donating to support the hospital, and further, the Council acknowledges how important the St. Francis Memorial Hospital is to our community and how fortunate we are to have this facility in our township. And I will move that one. Could I get a seconder? Councillor Schulis. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? That's carried. We have no unfinished business, and believe it or not, no in-camera session. We do have a confirming bylaw. The recommendation is that bylaw 2024-86 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings Council of the Corporation of the Township of Madawaska Valley, the regular council meeting of October 16th, 2024 be read a first, second, and third time, finally passed this 16th day of October. Could I get a mover, please? Councillor Micah, seconded by Councillor Schulis. All in favor? That's carried. And adjournment, we have a recommendation, the regular council meeting adjourn at, I can't see, there's a glare, 10:45. 10:45. Could I get a mover? Councillor Schulis, second by Councillor Micah. All in favor? And that's carried, and we are adjourned. Thank you very much.